I'm looking at an interesting penmanship specimen by J.J. Bailey, the renowned Canadian penman, born in 1879, died in 1970. So he lived right through the heart of the golden era of penmanship, and he was, you know, one of the best business penmen, which is of course what we're looking at here, a fine specimen of business penmanship. And there's just a few things I love about this document that I wanted to share. First of all, of course, it's just the quality of the penmanship. I mean, I'll zoom in a little bit here, and I mean, it's very well done. I mean, it's not perfect because nothing really is, but it's hard to find original copy that is much better than this. It's from the Scranton Penmanship Collection at Scranton University. You can download this on their website. I'll put a link in the description. No, it was written on, or it's dated April 30th, 1925. So Bailey was 46 years old. This was an announcement that was printed in the Business Educator, which was the preeminent penmanship periodical of the time, published by Zaner Bloser. He's basically announcing, I'm gonna publish a course, a business penmanship course in the Business Educator soon. And this was printed in the June issue of the 1924-1925 volume. So if you go to archive.org, you can look up the business penmanship, or the Business Educator, and you can find that 1924-1925 volume, and you can look at the June issue, and you will see that it indeed was printed there. So here's the reproduction. So you can see, obviously, it's a clean reproduction. There's no lines. And, you know, this has been transferred basically from this document to it's been engraved or etched chemically into a plate, and then it's been printed for the periodical, the Business Educator. So, and that's kind of what caught my eye about this, is that when I found this on Scranton, I was like, oh, I'm sure I can find the corresponding reproduction in the Business Educator and kind of look at the differences, see what was done. And it's just cool to see original writing this was intended. He's trying to do his best work, and he's trying to make this look as good as possible. He's trying to promote his course that's coming up in the article, in the magazine. So he wants it to look really good. And so it got me thinking, like, you know, what did he do? What was his strategy for trying to make this document look really good? Now, first, I think is that he wrote on a page with lines, not just a baseline, which obviously keeps the writing, you know, consistent as far as the baseline goes, you know, straight across the page, but he also has an X height line here. If we zoom in, we can see that there's a nice little X height line, and then there's a top line, and that's it. And there's also these vertical lines. And I assume the vertical lines help with spacing and just making everything, even if you're not really consciously thinking about them, like maybe you are with the X height and the base height line, you really see those when you're writing. At least I do. The vertical lines, you're probably not thinking about them much, but I'm sure they help with spacing, horizontal spacing in the writing. So he wrote on a document with lines, which isn't that surprising. Another thing that I figured out, I'm not going to go into it, but I have a pretty good guess at the size of this document. Unfortunately, I couldn't just calculate that based on the width of the document in pixels and the resolution of the document. That didn't work. It was giving me a width of like 4.5 inches, which I know is wrong. But I did some other, you know, made some assumptions, used some algebra using these lines and things, and what really made sense to me is that this document is about 9.5 inches wide by almost 13 inches tall, and it goes all the way down to here, or at least the scan is. I don't know how big the actual, I assume that the document, the image here is the full document scanned. So it's 9.5 by 13 inches, and which, based on some algebra and things, kind of comes out to a X height of about 1/8 of an inch, which is really big. If you write business penmanship, if you pay attention to your X height size, at least for me, that's kind of an uncomfortable size to write. I can do it, but it's not my best work. But I'm guessing Bailey did that because he's kind of using a trick that calligraphers or artists of all kinds have used when doing reproductions, is to do your work a little larger than the final print size, so that when it's reproduced and sized down for printing, it's actually going to look better, just because any little error or inconsistency in the work also gets reduced and it's harder to see in the final print. So it got sized down. I don't know what that percentage is, but it got sized down considerably, significantly, and you know, it shows. I think, you know, if you take a step back and just look at this writing, it looks a little more flawless than this writing. I mean, this looks really good as well, but any little flaws here are just that much smaller in this document and harder to see. So very interesting. Another strategy he used, besides, you know, using the lines and, you know, writing at a larger size for reproduction, was to kind of just redo some of these words. So you can see, if we zoom in here at the top, he redid this word "the." He just did it on a separate piece of paper, pasted over what I assume is the word "the" underneath there that he didn't like. And, you know, when they do the reproduction, you can't even tell the difference, because it's really only picking up the lines of the pen, the ink. So, and he did that quite a bit, I would say. Not that much, considering how flawless this document is. You know, he did it here and there, and you know, it's interesting. He did it, the word "the," 4 times. He replaced, which I thought was interesting. Obviously, it's a common word that you're going to find in a lot of writing and throughout this document. But you also see other issues with the letter H here as well. I mean, there's 2 H's there, and that excuse me, that he looks like he put some whiteout over something there. Like maybe he just kind of missed that stroke and redid it, and then he whited it out later. So interesting that maybe his H's, I mean, H is a tough letter to really nail, even for the best. So I would love to be able to, you know, you can look at this document at the Scranton University Library in person. I would love to peel these little paste ups off the document and see what was under there, and see, you know, what Bailey found was unacceptable. Another thing he redid was his signature, which is not that surprising. I'm assuming he just has really high standards for his signature. I mean, and if you look at the signature here, I mean, it's so, these J's are so perfect. I mean, I'm sure there's little errors in them if we wanted to really zoom in, but they're just so good. And the Bailey is so good. I think he probably just wanted to have his signature look really perfect. I doubt what's under here is really all that bad, but you never know. Maybe he just screwed it up and had to redo it once. But it's just an interesting document. Like I said, the link to download it is in the description. I encourage you to check it out. I mean, just kind of take it in. It's just great to look at if you want it. If you're studying business penmanship, Palmer method, whatever, it's really great to look at writing like this. That's original writing. It's not in a copybook. What you see in the copybook is this, the reproduction, and things are lost, the lines aren't as crisp, it's been sized down, it's been pasted over, you know, it's been fixed up like you see here. This has a lot of writing that's just, this is what it was, you know, this is the real size and everything. So it's just great to look at it, and when it's this high caliber of writing, it's really fun to analyze it and learn from it. So I encourage you to do that. This is J.J. Bailey. Link in the description to download the original. I'll let you find the Business Educator version on archive.org. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.